Hello guys, we are here again. So in today's lecture we are gonna discuss about the schedulers, which is in previous lecture we have run about the processes and process schedulers. So today we are going to discuss about scheduler, which is long-term scheduler, short-term and medium-term. Also the degree of multiprogramming and dispatcher. What is dispatcher? Which we dispatcher is a term that used again and again in the operating system course. So for schedulers and schedulers, first of all, we have the short term, which is also known as the CPU schedulers. So in CPU schedulers, it's like which the processes should be executed next and allocated to the CPU. So sometimes the only scheduler in the system and short term schedulers is invoked frequently or in milliseconds and it must be fast. Next we have long term schedulers. It's also known as the job schedulers. So it's like which process should be brought into the ready queue, and long-term schedulers is invoked infrequently, means in seconds or minutes. In short-term schedulers is frequently invoked in milliseconds, and it's frequently invoked in seconds or minutes, which is longer, which take longer than the short-term schedulers, so it may be slow. Next, the long-term schedulers control the degree of multiprogramming. Multiprogramming means multiple programs run at the same time, and processes can be described as either so input output process and CPU bound process. So it spend more time doing the input output than the computation and many short CPU bursts. So CPU bound process spend more time doing the computations and few very long CPU bursts. So long time schedulers strive for the good process mix. Next we have medium task schedulers. In medium task schedulers can be added if the degree of multiprogramming need to decrease. In medium term schedulers, the process is removed from the memory, then stored on the disk, bring back from the disk, and then execution is continued. So here is the graphical representation. First we have the job. When we have the job queue, then we have job schedulers. We use the job schedulers, and then after the job queue, we have the ready queue, which we these all are discussed in the previous video. You can also check from that. Then we have dispatcher or CPU scheduler, CPU exit, and if there is no input output events occur, then it wait for the input output queue. Like dispatcher. So dispatcher gives control of the CPU to the processes and is selected by the short term schedulers. So dispatchers are include the involves the switching context, switching to the user mode, and jumping to the proper location in the user programs to restart that program. Dispatch latency is one of the most important term of the operating system. So in dispatch latency, also known as the context switching overhead. So the time it takes for the dispatcher to stop one process and start another, the time which is taken by the dispatcher to stop one process and start another. In simple terms, we can also say that the time of starting the process or is to stop the process taken by the dispatcher is known as dispatch latency. The time taken by the dispatcher to stop one process and start another process is known as dispatch latency or context switching overhead. So what is time quantum? Time quantum is also one of the most important aspect of the dispatcher. So in time quantum, the CPU burst time taken by one process. Like time quantum should be more than context switching, but not too large. Time quantum it can be more than context switching, like it's more than dispatch latency, but it's not too long like the dispatch latency. So today we have discussed the schedulers. First we have discussed the short term schedulers, which invoke frequently must and it's fast than the long term, also known as the job schedulers. It's a degree of multiprogramming and it invoke frequently in seconds or minutes. It also used two processes, which is inbound process and the CPU process. Medium term scheduler can add the degree of multiprogramming and it needed to decrease. So next we have dispatcher. Dispatcher is involve the switching context, switching to the user mode, and jumping to the proper location in the user program to start that program. Next, we have discussed the dispatch latency and time tandem. So that's it for today. We have